we are on day 4 and we are going to look at Git. So as I've mentioned before, Git is a powerful tool that is used for version control. So say you started your project with version 1 and you made an update and it's now 1.1. Git is going to help you track that progress and those changes. It also helps you with collaborating and maintaining a clean code base. So the past 2 days we learned about the basic structure of a code, writing comments, and we talked about creating a virtual environment. So today we are going to talk about how to store your code and how to collaborate with others. So let's start by installing Git. I am using a Ubuntu device, so if you have Windows or a MacBook, the instructions are also here, but for the class we'll be using Ubuntu. Okay, but the questions are applicable in all operating systems. So okay, we go to the terminal first. Let me start a new window, and then for Git, the first thing you need to do is to install, and I already have it installed, but we are going to still do it again. So for the class, we are going to do sudo apt install Git, and you enter your password. And since I have already installed Git, I'm going to get this message. Git is already the newest version, so it's already in my machine. If you want to check the version that you're running, you just do git version, and it's going to tell you the version that you're on. And in this case, we are in version 2.34.1. Okay, I'm going to be using these instructions because, as I mentioned to you in the first class, your mind is not a filing cabinet. So you are given the grace to forget things, and you're given the grace to ask other people's questions. But the important things is that you understand the flow and that you understand the concept. Okay? You'll find yourself once every few months Googling the most mundane things, but don't excuse yourself. That doesn't mean that you don't know. Everyone just needs a little reminder. Okay? So after you've done installing Git, the next thing you do is to configure, which is for us here step 2. Let me just do this. Take this here like that, so we can work together. So right now we are here at configuring Git. Okay, so after installing, next is configuration. I feel like I should increase this like that so you guys can see well. Yeah, so next we config. So all these steps I have already done, by the way. So we just, for me, if you get an error, if you see an error message, it's because I've already done this before. So when you're configuring Git, you have to go to the terminal and run this command. And when you're doing git config global user.email, you use the email that you had used when you're registering on Git. Oh my goodness, we skipped a step. I feel like we skipped a step. So first of all, before you proceed with any of this, you have to make sure that you have a GitHub account. I'm looking for mine here through these many tabs. So this is our GitHub account for Codex Mentis, right? And these are our repositories. We have a github.io, which allows us to create a portfolio, and we have the 100 days of Python, which is the project that we are doing. So in order for me to connect to this GitHub account, I have to do these steps of configuration. And you sign up from GitHub. You can use GitHub, you can use Bitbucket. You're not restricted, but the steps are still the same. Okay? let me share the link for you guys on the just a moment. I'm sharing it with you on the chat, but as you can see, after you have registered you have signed into GitHub, you have to configure your machine to be able to connect to GitHub. So you use the email that you used for registration and your username that you also used during registration. And afterwards, so let me run this command so you guys can see. You shouldn't get an error message. And then we do the same with the username. I'm just going to copy paste for brevity. And you can verify your configurations by running this command, git config list. So it's going to show you the username and the email that is currently registered on your machine. Afterwards, you have to do SSH authentication. SSH means secure shell. So with SSH authentication, oh, heavy tongue, you will use it for pushing your code or pulling your code, because nowadays they don't allow you to add passwords. So you have to generate a key that you're going to then put to your settings on GitHub so that you can be able to work seamlessly.